Hello, and welcome to the Sigma Delta Chi Awards presented by the Society of Professional Journalists. I'm Claire Regan, SPJ's National President. The Sigma Delta Chi Awards date back to 1939, when SPJ awarded its first Distinguished Service Awards. Since then, the SDX Awards have celebrated outstanding work in our always evolving field. Today, more than 100 judges are involved in the process, reading, watching, and listening to nearly 1,500 entries to find the best of the best. Decisions aren't easy since there's so much great work being done, but time and time again, judging teams report that they are empowered and inspired by the power of the work. Each year, SPJ's staff, working with its awards committee, seeks new ways to celebrate this work. This year, for instance, you'll hear about the winners in such newly added categories as regional political reporting, tech reporting, consumer retail reporting, cultural criticism, and obituaries. Plus, categories for work originally published or broadcast in Spanish. Tonight, the Sigma Delta Chi Awards winners will be announced for the first time. We'll also honor some of the top winners from SPJ's Mark of Excellence Awards competition for collegiate journalists. Let's get to it. Our readers, Brian Hartz and Jasmine Sohal, will announce the awards as well as share comments that come directly from the judges. For some categories, we will also show a portion of the award-winning entry, but they can all be read online at spj.org. Now on to the awards.
First up, let's highlight the winners in categories that this year were open to work on all media platforms. In fact-checking, the winner is Glenn Kessler of The Washington Post for fact-checking the truth about Hunter Biden. A very detailed, balanced analysis of a complicated and horrifically convoluted story that spawned 1,000 rumors and falsehoods. In the new category of consumer or retail reporting, the winners are Andrew Blankstein, Simone Weichselbaum, Rich Shapiro, and Mark Schoen of NBC News Investigations for Secret Surveillance Mining Customer Data, How Retailers Help Bag Shoplifting Kingpins. This is a fascinating exploration of what amounts to the privatization by large retailers of the battle against rampant shoplifting. Tech reporting is another new SDX category, and the winner this year is the staff of Grid News for QAnon, Bangladesh, misinformation, and Canadian truckers, how social media created a false convoy. This team did a great job on a deeply reported and investigated story. It was obvious they took a lot of care to make sure they connected all the dots. For food or restaurant journalism, the winner is Jay Korf of WJLA for Food is Love. This story features excellent sound bites, great use of natural sound, outstanding editing, and the writing is creative, pithy, and keeps the story flowing. It's inspired and inspiring.
Aramark executive chef Steve Hoy at Capital One Arena also goes out of his way to provide.
This might be their only meal of the day. For me, that's something important to know that I'm giving back to the community.
The car is completely filled with boxes.
Volunteer Janet Furshine then takes the short trip to Central Union Mission, where she's greeted by Chef Rick Snyder.
How's it looking? It looks beautiful. This is good stuff.
It's very hard being on the street. It's dehumanizing being a homeless person. So anything we can do here to give a person a sense of love and dignity and respect, we're going to do it. And oftentimes that begins with a meal.
In travel journalism, the SDX award this year goes to the staff of NPR's rough translation for Stuck at Work, when your country's brand is escape, but you can't. Said a judge, it's so important to remind people that wealthy visitors looking to benefit from a country's low cost of living or desperation for investors usually comes at a cost to the people who were already there. I love this highlighting of a sort of global gentrification and the inversion of colonialism in Portugal. In arts, entertainment, or fashion journalism, Brett Sokol of the New York Times wins for museum reporting that led to an FBI probe and a director's firing. This article truly afflicted the comfortable and comforted the afflicted. An excellent example of the importance of arts journalism in holding power to account. In the category of science, environment, climate reporting, the winners are Aline Brown and Akil Harris of The Intercept for Climate and Punishment. the team painstakingly mapped climate risks, such as heat risk, wildfire risks, and flood risks for over 6,500 facilities across the U.S. The series combines rigorous reporting and moving case studies. For crime reporting, Lane DeGregory of the Tampa Bay Times wins for Murder or Mercy. Said one judge, "I simply cannot stop thinking about this story. DeGregory takes on a very complex topic. Is it okay for a former Marine who is madly in love with his wife to shoot her in the heart because she is in great pain with a disease that can't be cured and she asked for it?" The writer is both passionate and balanced as she pieces together interviews with family members on opposite sides and enterprising cop and court reporting to weave together a riveting narrative. In another new category for SDX, regional political reporting, the winners are Zach Hirsch and David Summerstein of North Carolina Public Radio for Elise Stefanik. The judges noted terrific reporting across the board for this piece on the North Carolina congresswoman who went from moderate newcomer to one of President Donald Trump's most vocal allies. It's a strong piece on misinformation and a tremendous piece on CRT as well.
The Trump administration put together a plan to delay the peaceful transfer of power to President-elect Biden in Congress. On January 4th, Stefanik said again she was on board with Trump's plan.
I plan to object to certain contested electors on January 6th.
This video from Stefanik's Twitter account.
Tens of millions of Americans are rightly concerned that the 2020 election featured unprecedented voting irregularities, unconstitutional overreach by unelected state officials and judges ignoring state election laws, and a fundamental lack of ballot integrity and ballot security.
Again, Congresswoman Stefanik is saying this weeks after courts and election officials had found those concerns to be without basis.
This is being done for cynical political reasons. It's undermining the integrity of our election system, and it's incredibly dangerous.
For business or finance reporting, the winners are Heather Vogel, Haru Corinne, Aaron Smith, and Ryan Little of ProPublica for Rent Barons. With these three well-thought-out stories, ProPublica brings to light the role private equity firms play in rising rents across the nation. In a tough category, this extensive reporting stood out and spurred action from government officials. For collaborative journalism, which celebrates work created by two or more unrelated organizations, one of which involves students, the winners are Guy Bolton of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel and Marquette University students Alexa Jurado, Annie Matea, and Vanessa Rivera for A New Prescription. This outstanding series examines the underlying deficiencies of American healthcare, with the collaboration between professional and students appearing seamless, having the students' bylines on key stories added to its impact. In the print-online division for Inequalities in Society, the winner is Tyrone Beeson of the Los Angeles Times for Exploring Race in California, a revealing and inspiring chronicle series on the polarized racial division of the U.S. that goes beyond just the facts while adhering to high journalism standards. Beeson delved deep, and his personal experiences enriched the stories, sharing but not imposing, to create bridges of communication and understanding with people in the articles as well as readers. For the Inequalities in Society division open to television or audio, the winners are Sarah Khan, Bhavan Goswami, Zainab Nasir, and Havovi Cooper of Insider for How Sewer Diving Became One of the Most Dangerous Jobs in India and Pakistan. What a well-reported story, said a judge, literally taking us to a place we've never been, and quite honestly, don't want to go to.
This kind of work is technically illegal here, but many say they have no other option.
सर अंदर उतरते हैं तो बुरा सा तो लगता ही है कि यार क्या जिंदगी हो गई नरक में उतर के सर दे करके मतलब काम कमाना खाना पड़ रहा है.
They're stuck in these jobs partly because they're Dalit, the lowest Hindu caste. But that class system was outlawed more than 70 years ago in India. So why are Dalits still stuck in some of the dirtiest and riskiest jobs in the world?
And in cultural criticism, the SDX award goes to Melanie McFarland for her columns in Salon. According to the judges, they mount a persuasive argument about the insidious nature of online harassment and its ties to white supremacy. Her writing style is engaging and accessible, blending personal experience and observations, historical context, and sharp analysis.
Now for public service journalism. For public service in television journalism, all markets, the winners are Dave Biscobing and the ABC 15 staff for The Secrets They Keep. Obtaining secret recordings, the team reported on an investigation into an attempt by police to charge protesters as gang members based on lies and exaggerations.
These 3 assistant chiefs just filed a lawsuit this week. They allege Chief Williams unfairly blamed, demoted, and scapegoated them for the protest scandal to protect herself.
So it flat out was a bad idea.
Here's a clip of what Chief Williams told the city council in a meeting in August.
I've had very strict and stringent conversations with my new team and new staff about the expectations to absolutely, without fail, keep me informed.
But ABC 15 obtained secret recordings of those assistant chiefs talking with Phoenix's second-in-command, Mike Kurtenbach.
The boss herself knew about this for months. We didn't hide it. And I thought, how is that possible? Well, it's not. It's not that nobody knew about this. Nobody, to include the city manager, until February? It's just crazy to me.
For public service in television journalism, network or syndication service or program service, the winners are David Begnaud, T. Sean Herbert, Christine Weicher, and the CBS Morning staff for Conviction, the Case of Vincent Simmons. A months-long investigation created a story filled with revelations about a 1977 sexual attack that led to the release of a man who spent more than 44 years in prison. In the category of public service and newsletter journalism, the winner is the staff of the Marshall Project for Closing Argument, a quick, engaging, standalone read that also provides links to journalism and other resources, both the Marshall Project's own work and other work as well. A great use of the newsletter format. In public service journalism, Eliza Shapiro and Brian M. Rosenthal of the New York Times take the SDX Award for How Hasidic Schools Are Reaping Millions but Failing Students with So Many Aspects: Freedom of Religion, Disability Rights, Education, Gender Roles, Politics. It also revealed flaws in a law that was meant to help vulnerable people. In public service and radio journalism, all market or network syndication, the award goes to the staff of North Country Public Radio for A Place to Call Home, which looked at affordable and available housing. The judges were impressed with how the series looked at the issue from multiple sides, included diverse viewpoints, and addressed the unique needs of the specific region. And now, we'll take a brief break from SDX Awards to share some big winners in SPJ's Mark of Excellence Awards for College Journalism.
From our founding by 10 university students in 1909, student journalists always have played an important role at SPJ. I'm Hagit Lamore, president of the SPJ Foundation, and I'm excited to be announcing some of the Mark of Excellence Award winners tonight. For the second year, the Chronicle of Higher Education has added a pair of $5,000 prizes to what is now known as the Corbin Gwaltney Award for Best Student Newspaper. Named for the co-founder of the Chronicle of Higher Education and founder of the Chronicle of Philanthropy, the prizes are awarded in both the large and small school divisions. This year, the winner in the small school division is the staff of the Maroon from Loyola University, New Orleans. The judges commented the newspaper is consistent and clean, while also graphically innovative, with smart and clear writing. It features good story variety and tackles important and challenging topics. And the winner in the large school division is the staff of the Independent Florida Alligator from the University of Florida. While tackling wide variety of in-depth issues, said a judge, the result remains clear, clean, and innovative throughout. SPJ congratulates the winners and thanks the Chronicle of Higher Education for its support and encouragement of outstanding student journalism. Coming up later in this program, we're going to announce the student winner of the MOEy Best in Show. But for now, back to the SDX Awards.
Now for the deadline reporting categories. In Spanish language print online news reporting, the winners are Ariana Perez Castells, Natalia Sanchez Loaiza, and Tasha Sandoval of El Deadline for La Lucha en Primera Línea de Trabajado, a three-part series that was instrumental in showing the abuse and sacrifices immigrant workers from Mexico and Latin America make to improve the lives of their families back home. The winner in the radio breaking news reporting, all markets or network syndication category is Carolyn Beeler of the World PRX for Sri Lanka at the Breaking Point. The level and depth of the reporting on Sri Lanka's toppled president and economic collapse was spectacular. Beeler not only put her own safety on the line to report from this unstable region, but also dove deep into her reporting with quotes from Sri Lankans who were affected. Her regular updates made listeners feel as if they were right beside her, witnessing this sometimes horrific situation unfold. For breaking news photography, single issue circ up to 40,000 or affiliated website, the SDX Award goes to Jake May of the Flint Journal, MLive.com for Ashes to Ashes. Said the judges, it is a heartbreaking moment, respectfully captured. In the category of breaking news photography, single issue circ 40,000 or affiliated website online only, the award goes to Emilio Morinati of the Associated Press for Fleeing War. There has been no shortage of gripping, gut-wrenching photographs from the war in Ukraine, said the judges, and this one isn't as graphic as many of those or as action-packed, but it resonated. In the category of deadline reporting, single issue circ up to 40,000, the winner is the staffs of the News Press and Naples Daily News for Hurricane Ian Devastates Southwest Florida, demonstrating excellent work amid extreme conditions. The team's ability to think on their feet and figure out workarounds is apparent. For deadline reporting, single issue circ 40,000 plus or online only, the SDX Award goes to Joshua Goodman, David Botter, and Hillel Itali of the Associated Press for Vacationing AP Reporter's lightning-fast response dominates coverage of author's shock stabbing. Notwithstanding the fact that a frightening attempted murder of Salman Rushdie was unfolding before his eyes, Goodman quickly snapped out of his shock and took photographs and videos with his cell phone, then used the device to interview other witnesses and dictate to colleagues what had happened. In just 19 minutes after the attack, AP had alerted its international audience, and 2 minutes later, Goodman's photos followed. The reporter and news outlet went far beyond what might be expected from journalists in such a situation. In the category of television breaking news coverage, network, syndication, program service, the SDX Award goes to MSNBC, NBC News staff for Hurricane Ian. Exhaustive and surely exhausting work for a top-notch team, said the judges. Just phenomenal emotional storytelling and so much good photography. In the All Markets division for television breaking news coverage, the winner is the staff of KPRC TV for its Uvalde school massacre coverage. With reporters on site at multiple locations and key details identified early on, including a map to clearly identify the location, it was easy to follow the difficult-to-watch story.
The shooting happened about 80 miles west of San Antonio in a town with a population of less than 20,000. And we have sent our crews to the scene of this tragedy as grieving families now search for answers. We begin with anchor Daniela Guzman leading our coverage from Uvalde tonight. Daniela?
Christine, Lauren, it took us about 4.5 hours to get to Uvalde from Houston, and I got to tell you, the entire time my heart was in knots, just thinking about all of the unthinkable pain these family members, these parents, this community is going through tonight. We're just outside of Robb Elementary here in Uvalde, where you can see there's still a very active scene just outside of this school. This community has been changed forever. They're left wondering why? How could this happen again? And now what?
Onwards to continuing coverage. For non-deadline reporting, single issue circ up to 40K, the winners are Sean D. Hamill, Jonathan D. Silver, Ed Blazina, and Joel Jacobs of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette for Bridges on the Brink. The reporters investigated the collapse of a landmark bridge and found that officials had been warned repeatedly about structural problems. In Pittsburgh, known as the City of Bridges, 1 in every 5 of its 79 bridges was in poor condition. The series didn't just show the problem. Anyone reading the series would have an idea of what it would take to solve it. For non-deadline reporting, large, the winners are Mstislav Chernuv, Evgeny Maletka, Vasilisa Stepanenko, and Lori Haynant of the Associated Press for Erasing Mariupol. The Associated Press team demonstrated great courage and determination, risking their lives to illuminate the tragedy of war through the plight of the citizens of Mariupol. Their work saved lives by helping to tap Europe's humanitarian resolve to open up corridors for mass evacuations. This shining example of journalism was literally the difference between life and death for some Mariupol residents. For Spanish-language television news reporting, Celia Mendoza of Voice of America is the winner for De Frontera a Frontera, a timely story profiling Ukrainians fleeing their country after Russia declared war on Ukraine. Many fled to the U.S. and Mexico border to claim asylum in America. Despite language challenges, the reporter showed the hardships, emotions, and despair these new immigrants were experiencing, navigating a different culture and language.
I must go.
Me tuve que ir porque Rusia quiere. No sé qué es lo que ellos quieren, pero debemos irnos a otro lugar una y otra vez. Y es por eso por lo que quise irme lo más lejos posible, porque es la tercera vez.
Que la ucraniana Olga Smirnova, de 36 años, se ve obligada a escapar. Primero, al comienzo de la guerra en la región de Donbass en 2014, huyó de Lugansk, su ciudad natal, y se instaló en la capital, Kiev. El pasado 24 de febrero, con los primeros bombardeos rusos, otra vez tuvo que escapar, pero hacia la República Checa junto a su esposo e hija de 6 años.
No es la primera vez. Sabemos que no va a terminar rápido.
Explicó a La Voz de América desde la ciudad fronteriza de Tijuana, México, mientras esperaba su turno para entrar a Estados Unidos en virtud de una excepción humanitaria.
For Washington correspondents, the winner is Nick Grube of Honolulu Civil Beat. One of the few regional reporters left in Washington, Grube had a huge impact on the politics of his state 6,000 miles away. His dogged reporting on a no-show congressman ruined his campaign for governor. He also revealed the congressman was skirting ethics rules by working for Hawaiian Airlines while holding a House seat. And he dug up background material that sank the nomination of a U.S. attorney candidate. For foreign correspondents, the SDX judges have chosen Mark Champion of Bloomberg News for his work on the economic impacts of Putin's war on Ukraine. There were a lot of stories on Ukraine this year, said the judges, but what stood out here is Champion's ability to identify the beginning of the war through the unique lens of economics and trade. It's an insightful coverage of politics and economics of the war and how some incidents, which were readily visible to the eye, were overlooked. For informational graphics and data visualization, the staff of the New York Times wins for Inside the Apocalyptic Worldview of Tucker Carlson Tonight. In it, straightforward graphics are combined with multimedia components to tell a compelling and clear story. An exhaustive project is delivered in a highly comprehensive, yet highly consumable package.
Because of climate change. That's how
so
the world
much of
would
this
be
you
different
don't
if it
know.
weren't for humans.
You pretend that you know, but you don't know.
It's also important that we place a premium on diversity, and the fact that we have
But
people
diversity
in this
means appearance.
administration.
It means what you look like.
No,
You're talking about the shallowest possible criterion.
No.
But let me ask
But
you
it is
this. I'm
racism.
kind of confused
It is
because
racism what is happening in this
Of course
country.
it's not racism. That's called
Of course it
demagoguery.
is
But let me ask you
racism.
this.
In magazine writing, the winner is Lizzie Presser for I Was Never Ready for This. Heartbreaking, outrageous, and deeply researched, it showed the real-life, real-world impact of an unplanned, unwanted pregnancy on a teen whose crushing poverty and own neglected childhood had her ill-prepared for the motherhood of twins, forced upon her by a judge. It is a masterclass of personal storytelling married to trenchant, clear-eyed analysis of the ripple effects of the U.S. Supreme Court's Dobbs decision overturning Roe v. Wade. In the category of digital video, the winner is the staff of Insider for Why Miners Risk Their Lives to Get Sulfur from an Active Volcano. Said the judges, this entry didn't have the most sophisticated graphics nor the slickest production values. It simply told a story most people never knew existed, and it did so with such nuance. The impact doesn't hit the viewer until they're well into the video, but when it's over, it sticks with you. In immersion journalism, the winner is Kevin Seif and Whitney Leeming of The Washington Post for Destroying Maya Treasures to Build a Tourist Train. It is a powerful use of media to engage the reader and viewer in a story they might otherwise not fully appreciate. For Specialized Journalism site, the SDX Award goes to Linda Rodriguez McRobbie, Owen O'Carroll, John Patrick Pullen, and Amelia Lang at Long Lead for The People vs. Rubber Bullets. In it, a creative approach and ingenious techniques capture attention and engage the audience to deliver important information that otherwise might be overlooked. The danger of projectiles promoted as life-saving. In the new category of illustration, the winner is Stephen Wilson of Fortune for What's in the Water at PepsiCo. It has a clever twist that is wonderfully executed, a beautiful piece that helps to tell the story. In the new SDX category, a photo essay or slideshow, the CNN staff wins for The Things COVID Victims Left Behind. This entire photo story is filled with pictures of typical items, but because of the powerful stories behind them, each one is a punch to the gut. This is further proof that the best photo essays also have the best writing.
And now for investigative reporting. For magazine investigative reporting, the winner is Janelle Nanos of the Boston Globe for Kate Price Remembers Something Terrible. Tremendous reporting, powerful storytelling, tasteful visuals. This piece had it all. The length of time pursuing this story was laudable, the payoff to the reader, flat-out jaw-dropping. For radio investigative reporting, all markets or network syndication, the winners are NPR's Joseph Shapiro and Christy Thompson, and the Marshall Project staff, for how the newest federal prison became one of the deadliest. This heartbreaking and startling journalism digs into a horrifying situation at a facility that is challenging to access as a reporter. The story also had a clear impact, spurring federal investigations and Senate interest.
God, I was scared for them, because we don't know what's happening in them prisons, you know.
That's Everson's father, also named Bobby Everson. The family wanted to know more. I read part of Demetrius Hill's letters to them about how he says their son died and about how he was terrorized in those last weeks by his cellmate. And Lupe stayed in his bed, pressed to the top bunk, clearly spooked, lost, denied even a shower. He was completely powerless, a victim waiting to happen.
I still don't believe it.
It's just horrible.
For Spanish-language television investigative reporting, the award goes to the Univision Investiga, Univision Noticias staff for Las Mansiones de la Perversión. This critical story informed the Latino community of a pastor known for manipulating vulnerable immigrant communities in the Los Angeles area and Mexico. The Univision investigative team uncovered properties in Mexico that a pastor used to sexually abuse young victims. For investigative reporting, single-issue Circ 40,000 plus or online only, the winners are Joaquin Palomino and Trisha Tadani of the San Francisco Chronicle for Broken Homes, a series that described horrifying and deadly conditions in city housing for those without homes. It resulted in immediate improvements by a municipal administration that the reporting team showed had outright neglected its promises. For investigative reporting, single-issue Circ up to 40,000, the team of Caroline Gisolfi, Tony Plahetsky, and Nicole Foy of the Austin American Statesman win for Disabled and Abandoned, a year-long series that takes readers inside the lives of society's most vulnerable, exposing crisis and violence in Texas' system of care. For television investigative reporting, all markets, the winner is the Project Baltimore staff at WBFF-TV for Disabled and Denied. The story effectively explored the lost time and education for students neglected due to staffing shortage, but became even richer as it exposed falsified grading and attendance records.
Take a look at this note, dated December 10th for Darien. On that day, the private duty nurse logged 8 a.m. student arrived at school. But this picture, taken by Darien's mother on that same day, 17 minutes later, shows him hooked up to machines at Sinai Hospital after suffering a seizure. She also took this picture at 11:26 a.m., showing him still at the hospital. Yet the clinical notes say 10 a.m., student in cafeteria, stable. Then 12 p.m., student in class. If both of these are true, Darien was in two places at the same time.
They're manufactured documentation only used for billing purposes.
If paid in full, the 35 days logged by this nurse in caring for Darien would have cost taxpayers more than $10,000.
For television investigative reporting, network, syndication, program service, the winners are Bill Whitaker, Heather Abbott, Lecrae Mitchell, and Michael Mangula of CBS News 60 Minutes for What Happened at Grizzly Flats. Looking into the blaze, the 60 Minutes team found mismanagement and needless destruction, as well as compelling human stories, blending them into a very strong segment. In Spanish language print online investigative reporting, the winners are Jorge Carrasco, Ana M. Rodriguez, and Eulimar Núñez of Noticias Telemundo for Salud de Alquiler. Inmigrantes latinos participan una y otra vez en ensayos clínicos por dinero. This compelling multi-part investigation highlights a flawed FDA clinical trial system that takes advantage of a vulnerable group of Latinos selling their bodies in the name of science. The Telemundo team did a great job of storytelling and structuring the story to see the struggles of their vulnerable subjects. In the category of television documentaries, network, syndication service, program service, the winners are Thomas Jennings and Annie Wong of Frontline, and Erica Knetz of the Associated Press for Putin's Attack on Ukraine, Documenting War Crimes. An outstanding collaboration mapping the military campaign by Russians in towns where crimes were committed. This was journalism at its best during a tragic time. For television documentaries, all market sizes, the winners are Chris Hansen and Chris Vanderveen of KUSA for Burned, the story behind the Marshall Fire. Months of work using geotagging and timestamp data pulled together hundreds of videos that demonstrate the level of commitment to giving a complete and accurate account of this disaster.
God help us. Holy 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 Holy! Did you guys just see that? Go towards Denver! Evacuate now! Holy crap! East, go! Evacuate! Everybody head east! Go towards 36! God. Move now! Leave your stuff! Go! Alright. The fire's at the back! Go! Everybody head east! Get out of the store now!
And now, we'll take a brief break from SDX Awards to share SPJ's Top Mark of Excellence Award winner for college journalism.
The Mark of Excellence winners in SPJ's 12 regions already have been announced, as have the national winners in each of the MOE categories. But for the first time here, we're announcing the winner of the MOEy, a Best of the Best award that came from the national winners in all of the categories: print, audio, visuals, online, or broadcast. This year's MOEy Award goes to Mary Steffenhagen of the City University of New York for the podcast Home Ed. This podcast is an examination of the political, religious, and legal forces surrounding the homeschooling movement in the United States. Stephen Hagen approached the story through a tragic incident in West Virginia where a young girl died of abuse from her father and stepmother after she was pulled out of the school when teachers reported signs of abuse. But she didn't stop there. She incorporated interviews with a homeschooler, West Virginia lawmakers, and detailed reporting on the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, making a strong case that laws and guidelines for homeschooling often are lax. The report is a diligent eye-opener on the dynamics in the growing homeschool movement, an often overlooked area of the country's education system that is politically and culturally relevant in a moment where parents have become more outspoken about school curricula. Congratulations to these and all of the Mark of Excellence winners, both nationally and regionally. You're the ones who give us hope for the future of journalism. And now, back to more SDX Awards.
Now we turn to feature reporting. In Spanish-language television feature reporting, Veronica Bisafañe, a Voice of America for Mayan rapper Pat Boy, seeks to preserve his culture for the next generations. This was a unique and enterprising story of a rapper trying to preserve his Mayan culture and language. The reporter did an excellent job of exploring a subject many people are unfamiliar with. In Spanish-language print or online feature reporting, the SDX Award goes to Frank Lopez Ballesteros of Palabra for Los Silenciosos Cartoneros, which brought to light the arduous work of cardboard collectors trying to make a living in the Miami-Dade area. Skillful in weaving together the personal stories while providing statistical information about the recycling industry, his storytelling made an unexpected story great with memorable elements of emotion, passion, and struggle. For feature photography, single-issue Cirque 40K+ or affiliated website or online only, the winner is Scott Serio of Broadway World for Snowflakes. Upon first glance, this looks like Photoshop art, but upon inspection, it's a creative use of multiple techniques to produce an image that takes typical stage art to a new place. In feature photography, single-issue Cirque up to 40K or affiliated website, the judges chose Jake May of the Flint Journal and MLive.com for A Brother's Love, a technically strong photo that captures each brother's emotion in a single shot. For radio feature reporting, Market 101+, the winners are Lucy Grindon and David Sommerstein of North Country Public Radio for Dairy Worker Housing Goes Uninspected. The result is horrific conditions on some farms. It featured impressive work in overcoming sources resistance. The reporters do an outstanding job of shedding light on a significant issue often invisible to the public. For radio feature reporting, Market 1 through 100, or network syndication, the SDX Award goes to Tovia Smith, Catherine Laidlaw, Walter Ray Watson, and Elizabeth Baker of National Public Radio. For Grief and Grit, 10 years after Sandy Hook, one woman continues to wrestle with her double loss. Said the judges, "You don't get these kinds of interviews without trust and time. Sad but important."
Hensel hopes sharing her story will also help bring change. As Jeremy would often say, people need to face the horror of gun violence instead of always saying, "I can't imagine what you're going through."
I want people to hear the reality of it. A child was killed. She was brutally blown apart with a large gun. I want people to imagine it.
As Jen and Jeremy always said,
you can imagine.
Imagine, imagine, imagine.
You have to imagine it.
You must, you must, you must.
You can't back down.
Be brave. We need you here. It's time to do the work. There's going to be a threshold where every one of us is going to be directly affected, and soon.
The new Sandy Hook Memorial will now also be a reminder.
Oh my God, we just sat there bawling. Like all these little lives who were just lost so tragically.
For feature reporting, single-issue Cirque 40K+ or online only, Thomas Kerwin of the Los Angeles Times wins for A World Gone Mad, Schizophrenia and a Journey Through California's Failed Mental Health System. It is an intensely personal piece that does an excellent job of providing the reader with an inside view of California's mental health crisis through the eyes of one man and his family. For feature reporting, single-issue Cirque up to 40K, The award goes to Steffi Nelson of Red Canary magazine for The Art of Reparation. This complicated story highlights an environmental artist's image of a Los Angeles river after us, expertly melding the scientific and the personal. In television feature reporting, large market station 1 through 50 market, the SDX award goes to Peter Rosen and Tanner Siegworth of KSL-TV for May's Messenger. The editing and storytelling was phenomenal in the story of a very young entrepreneur. The journalists were able to weave the young girl's voice throughout without losing the narrative. In television feature reporting, small market station 51 plus market, the winners are Roberta Oster, Dennis Ting, and Brad Clore of VPM News focal point for Descendants Voices. Taking viewers to Monticello, the primary plantation of Thomas Jefferson, the story also took them into the thoughts and feelings of a staff member who discovered, at age 13, that she was a descendant of Jefferson. For television feature reporting, network, or syndication service or program service, the SDX award goes to the ABC News staff for Somalia on the Brink of Starvation. This package features great storytelling, especially considering the challenges around them and parameters set for them.
What does this place look like when there's a lot of rain? The livestock of traditional herders accounted for about 80% of Somalia's exports, feeding the wealthy of the Arab world. Now most of the herders subsist on a single meal of plain rice every day. Barlin telling us her days used to be non-stop. But now she sits and waits for the rains.
The SDX has 2 podcast categories. The first is for conversational podcast, and the winners are Tatiana Serafin and Nick Vazdev of Carnegie Council for Doorstep for Can Putin Be Prosecuted for War Crimes? It is a very interesting discussion of the legalities and obstacles that predated the International Criminal Court issuing an arrest warrant for him for accusations of abduction of children from Ukraine. The discussions heard on this podcast became reality. It is well done and timely. The second podcast category is for narrative podcast, including radio documentaries. The winner is Inside the Global Fight for White Power from the Center for Investigative Reporting's Reveal and Scripps News Verified. This outstanding collaboration confronts the subject with hard-hitting questions and explains the issue clearly for listeners who might not be following the neo-Nazi movements across the world. For obituaries, a new SDX category, the judge's top pick comes from the NBC News Sunday staff for A Life Well Lived. These stood out for their combination of powerful personal, historical, and visual research, their fine storytelling, and their heart. The sterling entry included Andre Gullin, a teacher who hid Jewish children during World War II, Willie Morrow, a black hair care innovator and civil rights activist, and Bob McGrath, best known from Sesame Street. Each segment served as a time capsule through their lives, nostalgia for some viewers, historical news for others. For radio sports reporting, the winner is Amy Moon of WBUR for Chinatown's 9-man tournament takes its Labor Day showdown to Providence. This piece has a strong natural sound, strong interview material, and does an excellent job combining explanations of an unfamiliar sport and its cultural significance.
The setting was a parking lot in Everett.
We're outside. We're not in a controlled indoor environment where it's air conditioned and you got nice floors. As you can see, the ground is asphalt.
While some players warmed up, others were tying nets to street lamps and sticking bright yellow tape over parking spaces to create about a dozen courts. The scrappy setup harkened back to Boston during the Great Depression, when immigrants from Toisan, China, played volleyball in the alleys behind the laundries where they worked. They strung makeshift nets and used rolled-up towels as volleyballs. Goon says the unpredictability of playing on the streets adds drama that's still part of 9-man's appeal today.
A truck just ran over a Jersey barrier on the edge there. That's Chinese style. Just back it up and go away. All right, that's 9-man culture right there.
For sports reporting, print or online or wire, the winner is Juliet McCurr of the New York Times for The Keeper, a story about how an Afghan soccer player and her teammates fled their homes, outran a murderous regime, and forged the uncertain beginnings of a new life. In the skilled hands and observant eyes of McCurr, the story and reporting stood out in a field of excellent entries. It is powerful, tragic, and somehow hopeful. In sports photography, the SDX Award goes to Scott Serio for Wayne Can Still Train, a photo that appeared at hipismo.net. Beautifully composed and lit, it captures a contemplative behind-the-scenes moment with grace and gravitas. For television sports reporting, the winners are Mike Bush, Scott Sapelza, Adam Dew, and Tom Staszak of KSDK-TV for their Musial Award stories celebrating outstanding sportsmanship. It's a series that even sports-averse viewers could enjoy.
And our final category is editorials. For editorial writing, single issue circ up to 40,000, the winner is David Plazas of the Tennessean for his editorials. Well written and researched, timely and important. What strengthens his work is his personal point of view about the melding of politics and a religious viewpoint that makes it unsafe for some citizens, including the writer himself. Reader reaction further underscores the impact of his words. For editorial writing, single issue circ 40,000 plus or online only, the winners are Josh Brodeski, Nancy M. Pryor Johnson, Carrie Clack, and Brandon Lingle of the San Antonio Express-News. The members of this editorial board invested themselves so deeply in a critical examination of the Uvalde tragedy that their work not only offered important insights and recommended actions, it provided a heartfelt requiem for the community. In general column writing, single issue circ 40,000 plus or online only, the SDX Award goes to Myron Metcalf of the Star Tribune for bringing passionate, pointed prose to his discourses on race in Minnesota and the country. Metcalf does not waffle, but neither does he write screeds. He offers clear-eyed summations that are as powerful as they are poetic. For editorial cartooning, single issue circ 40,000 plus or affiliated website, the winner is Gary Markstein of Creators Syndicate. It's a testament to both the art and the opinions that even judges who disagreed with Markstein's political views had no trouble declaring his concise cartoons as the clear winner. You know an editorial cartoonist is excellent when the judges say ouch repeatedly. In editorial cartooning, single issue circ up to 40,000 or affiliated website online only, the winner is Michael Ramirez of the Las Vegas Review-Journal. His cartoons feature a strong, unique visual style and clear statement about important news. For general column writing, single issue circ up to 40,000, the winner is Melinda Henneberger for her columns in the Sacramento Bee. The judges were particularly impressed with It's Tracy, Remember Me?, which, in telling the story of a formerly unhoused individual in recovery for chemical dependency issues, captures her current life, past life, and the lives she now touches working at an outreach agency. This story helped readers clearly understand homelessness issues. For sports column writing, the winner is Michael Silver for his columns in the San Francisco Chronicle. Phenomenally good writing gives this entry the edge in a loaded category, said the judges. His piece calling out 49ers ownership is terrific, and his Brady commentary offers an in-depth view that readers have to appreciate.
On behalf of the Society of Professional Journalists and the hundreds of volunteer judges for the Sigma Delta Chi and Mark of Excellence Awards programs, congratulations to all of tonight's winners. And a reminder that for each of these categories, there are many, many works that could easily have taken the top prizes. Outstanding work is being done at media outlets large and small. You give us hope for the professional, the country, and the world. Keep on it. If you want to read, listen to, watch, or view any of the award-winning work honored tonight, visit spj.org for a full list of winners and links to their entries. I hope you'll take the time to celebrate your well-deserved wins this evening. But we'd also like to invite you to join SPJ in Las Vegas in September for our annual convention. This will be a time to connect with old friends, make new ones, brush up on your skills, and celebrate the amazing journalists working to inform their communities. Thank you for joining us tonight, and have a good night.